going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of SmackDown Live Review. I am your host, Gina J, and I would like to start out tonight by saying I'm sorry for missing last week. Unfortunately, I was dealing with a very sick child, and hopefully she will remain healthy from now on, and we can continue on with what we're doing. So, to begin the night, we started out with a promo from Samoa Joe. This promo showed me exactly what a heel should be. I mean, I already knew, but this is just a taste of what Samoa Joe can bring us. He came down to the ring, and he immediately went after the ladders, climbed the ladder all the way to the top, grabbed the Money in the Bank briefcase, and then started his promo against Daniel Bryan. He started talking about how Daniel Bryan should go and call Brie and have Brie explain to Birdie, their daughter, how Daddy wasn't going to be coming home the same. This, of course, sparked fury in Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan comes out furious, saying that he's not only going to win the qualifying match, but he will break Samoa Joe's legs if he dares to mention Brie or Birdie's name again. This was all going great. As I said, Samoa Joe is an amazing heel. He shows us everything that a heel should be. We're supposed to have this love-hate relationship with the heel. We are not supposed to just hate them, or we're not supposed to completely love them, because otherwise they'd be a babyface. Samoa Joe brings everything to the table. We love him because of how nasty he truly is. So it was really great between these two. You could feel the heat going on, and then, of course, Big Cass comes down the ring to interrupt. He comes down just milking the worst kayfabe injury I have ever seen in my life. Comes out on a crutch. You can obviously tell that he is not injured whatsoever. Then he starts talking about, running his mouth about how Paige has canceled the match between Samoa Joe and Daniel Bryan, and instead made the match between Big Cass and Samoa Joe. This cuts back to Paige in the back, looking incredible, might I add. I know that she's been under a lot of scrutiny lately because of her looks, but I thought that she looked amazing tonight. I just have to add that in there. And then enters, of course, like the past 3-4 weeks already, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. They start running their mouth to Paige about Asuka, not understanding why Asuka is the one that has the #1 contendership, just bad-mouthing Asuka left and right. And then Paige makes a match with Mandy Rose versus Asuka, and she tells Mandy Rose that she is going to understand soon why Asuka is the #1 contender. We had a match between Shinsuke Nakamura versus Tye Dillinger. This match surprised me, actually. Tye Dillinger brought the fight. I mean, I know a lot of people probably thought that this was going to be a squash match because Tye Dillinger has not been on the match card for quite a while now, but I was excited to see him out. I thought that he did an amazing job against Shinsuke Nakamura. Of course, ultimately, Shinsuke used Dillinger as his pawn. However, there was a moment in there where Dillinger actually used Nakamura's gimmick and screamed, "Come on," at him. And that, of course, fired Nakamura up, and that set him up for Dillinger to take the upper hand there for a short time. But ultimately, Nakamura ended up getting the upper hand, and he got the win. I just have to say that this counting crap that he is doing is already annoying the crap out of me. I know that it just started last week, but he's doing it everywhere. He's doing it when he's in the ring. He's doing it backstage promos. He's doing it during matches. They're pushing this match down our throat, and they should not have to do that with a match the caliber of Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles. They should not have to shove this stipulation down our throat, but they are. This ultimately led to another AJ promo with Renee in the back, and AJ promo these promos against Nakamura, they're great. But again, they're getting old. This whole rivalry is getting old. This is, what, their 4th match now? I really hope that after Money in the Bank, they let these two lie. Let this rivalry lie for a little while. And if they're not going to let it lie, then let them go. Unleash the demon, so to speak. Just let them go at it like only they can. They have not done this so far, which is leading me to be incredibly irritated with the whole thing. I'm ready to move on. Next up, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but we had a dance-off between Lana and Naomi. I don't even know what to say about this. Of course, they're using Rusev and Rusev Day to get Lana over, which I'm perfectly fine with. Lana, of course, is Rusev's real wife in real life. So, of course, you know, those two are going to come as a pair. If Rusev's over, they're going to try to get Lana over as well. I'm perfectly fine with that. Not to mention, Lana has been looking, in my opinion, incredibly, not incredibly, but improving in the ring. However, Naomi comes down with the Usos, of course, since Lana came down with Rusev Day. This entire dance-off, I just had this horrible flashback to where the women were back in the puppies stage. Except now, instead of puppies, we're getting twerking. The whole thing left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't like seeing the women like this. Yes, it was a fun segment, but it's just really hard when you are a female to see them take a giant step back like this and put these women back kind of under the microscope, so to speak. Really, I didn't care for this whole entire thing, but either way around, Lana and Naomi, they took turns going back and forth in this dance-off until Lana ultimately turned on Naomi. This led to a brawl breaking out between, you know, all 6 members that were in the ring, between Rusev Day, Lana, Naomi, and the Usos. Of course, that left Naomi and the Usos standing tall in the middle of the ring. I think that this will ultimately lead possibly to a mixed match, tag team match between these 6 individuals. I'm really hoping it does anyway. I know that it probably won't for Money in the Bank, just because Lana is on the in the ladder match as well as Rusev for the men's ladder match, but I want to see this match coming up. I would rather see them in a match versus a dance-off competition. So next up, we had The Bar and The Miz versus The New Day. Anytime that you have these tag teams or The Miz in the ring, you know that you're going to be getting dealt gold. This was great work, back and forth match the entire time. There was action all over the ring, all over the outside ring. At one point in time, Kofi Kingston actually had this incredible jump off of the post onto the Bar, who were sitting down below. It was great. The height that he got shows the athleticism that all 3 of these members of the New Day can bring. That led Big E to be able to set up The Miz for the big ending to ultimately get the win. Next up, we had an interview with Gallows and Anderson backstage, cutting a promo against the Bludgeon Brothers. I was actually really happy when the Bludgeon Brothers cut them off and started delivering their own promo, just because I'm over the whole nerd gimmick already, because I know what Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, but Carl Anderson especially, I know what he can bring to the table, and I know that they're holding him back so much, and it kind of makes me really angry. So I was really glad that they cut to the Bludgeon Brothers promo. However, that promo was awkward and creepy, just like they have been. I really don't know where they're going with the Bludgeon Brothers. I get that they're supposed to be creepy, so I'm fine with the creep factor of the promos that they're doing. However, I wish that they would make a little bit more sense. I mean, tonight they were talking about liquefying people, and I know that that ultimately means that they're going to destroy their opponents, but I don't know, it's just not doing anything for me on either side, the nerd gimmick or the liquefied people. Moving on, we had the match for Asuka versus Mandy Rose. Carmella came out to the ringside. I was really kind of annoyed when she came out to ringside. As most of you know, I am not a big Carmella fan. It's not that she's not incredibly talented in the ring. It's just the incessant screaming and the constant talking gets very distracting. And again, for me anyway, it was incredibly distracting during this match. Mandy Rose actually looked really good in this match. There was a couple of times when she was showboating a little bit more than she probably should be, and I thought that Asuka was going to capitalize on that, but she didn't. Mandy Rose was actually in control for a quite considerable amount of time in the ring. She looked really good. However, ultimately Asuka got the Asuka lock in and Mandy Rose tapped out. This was followed by an incredible cringeworthy standoff between Carmella and Asuka in the middle of the ring. It ended with Carmella moonwalking away from Asuka. It was just, for me, it was complete cringe. Complete, total and utter cringe. I don't know what they're doing. It was very awkward. I don't know. We'll have to see where they go with those two from here. Hopefully, if they're going to keep the belt on Carmella, I would like to see them maybe push her a little bit more as far as mic skills go. I mean, she's okay on the mic, but for me, I think that she needs to be putting a little bit more focus on what she's saying versus how she's saying it, or even in the ring. She needs to be focusing more on what she's doing in the ring versus, incessant screaming. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of you guys are Carmella fans out there, so I'm not going to rag on her too terribly hard. We'll just move on. We also saw some promos in the back with Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. They were kind of bickering about who was going to win the Money in the Bank ladder match. This ultimately led Paige to come up and mention something about tea time. I guess I missed if they announced a match next week between these two or what, because I had to step away from my computer for a minute, or my TV, excuse me. So if any of you guys out there know what the whole tea time thing meant, please, by all means, let me know, because I am completely lost. I'm assuming that there's going to be a match between Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch next week. We also saw a promo with Andrade Cien Almas and Sin Cara. Sin Cara was trying to make friends with Almas, and Almas really didn't want nothing to do with it. He had this kind of I don't need you attitude, which I think is perfect. I think it is absolutely perfect. With Selena Vega in his corner, this whole I'm better than you attitude that they have his character doing is great. I love every second of it. I think out of any of the people who were called up recently, I think that they're doing the better job with Almas, and I hope that they continue it. I wish that they would do this with a lot of other talent that they have called up as well. However, we get what we get. Okay, next up, we had the final match of the night, Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass versus Samoa Joe. At one point in time in the beginning of the match, Daniel Bryan was actually taken out by Big Cass, just for a short, temporary little while. This allowed Big Cass and Samoa Joe to kind of square up in the middle of the ring and see what those two have to offer against each other. However, Daniel Bryan ultimately gets back into the ring and immediately goes after Cass's knee. This allows him to get Samoa Joe and Big Cass in a situation where he can hit the yes kicks on both of them. However, Joe turns it around, gets the coquina clutch on Daniel Bryan, which leads Daniel Bryan to pass out. The good thing about this is he did not tap out. Daniel Bryan has yet to tap out. He passed out. So I like that factor just because Daniel Bryan's one of my favorite wrestlers, And I know that it's a little selfish of me to say, but I like that they're making him pass out versus tapping out, because tapping out makes him look weak. And if he's going into a match, no matter what match it is, whether it's Samoa Joe or Big Cass, he needs to look his best. And tapping out just doesn't do it for me. However, with Daniel Bryan passing out, that ultimately led Samoa Joe to get the victory in the qualifying match and slide into that last spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I think that the ending of this ultimately sets up a match between Daniel Bryan and Big Cass for Money in the Bank. I'm not really too keen on seeing that match, just because I think that Big Cass isn't. I don't think he's earned it. I know it's really sucky for me to say, but you know, he came out with Enzo to start out with. Enzo was his mouthpiece, and then Enzo went away, and then he was on his own for a short time before he got injured. Now they bring him back, and he's still not very good on the mic. He has a lot of improvement to do in the ring, in my opinion. I don't think that he's ready for a match of this caliber, but they're going there. And I also know, for all of you out there that are thinking, hey, wait, Gina, you know, how do you expect him to be ready if you don't ever challenge him? I know that new or existing superstars that need some assistance do ultimately need to face challengers like Daniel Bryan. However, I just don't think that Cass is... I don't think that he should be quite there yet. Either way around, no matter what I think that we are going to be getting that at Money in the Bank. I'm perfectly fine with that as long as they make both superstars look good, because obviously both superstars return from injury on the same day, so this match is going to be quite difficult. I would like to call it right now and say that it might end in a disqualification or a double tap out, perhaps. Just because I don't think that they're going to want either superstar to appear weak. That's just my opinion. But that is all for this week's edition of SmackDown Live. I will see you guys next week for the final edition of SmackDown Live prior to Money in the Bank pay-per-view. I hope you guys have a good week. If you would like to chit-chat with me, get a hold of me, you can find me at Twitter at Gina Daly. That's DALY02. Or you can also find me on YouTube at Renegade Wrestling Review. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a good week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.